I've got 40 people in
Yeah,
mine because my voice carries and people hear it, so they want to do it. I've been doing this for 11 years, and since this was my ship, for about 5 years I did the bridges and the flight deck, because those are steam generators. Okay, what we have on this ship is we have 4 engines. They're independent of each other. You can move over a little bit so you don't. It was so dangerous working on the flight deck that out of the 3,500 crew we had on there was only 35 of us guys who actually worked on the flight deck. That's how dangerous it is. See, at the age 18 and 19 years old, you're at the age where you already know everything. So it's not going to happen to me, it's going to happen to him. The trouble you get extra duty, you get to polish the brass. And we have lots of brass, especially in the bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. The brass tarnishes, so therefore it has to be shined. And so the Boy Scouts, speaking of Boy Scouts, they're the people who are keeping us afloat. It weighs 120 pounds. Also, these 2 chains are 1,200 feet long. On the other end, there's a 27,000-pound anchor. One of the worst jobs on the ship is the guys who have to work down in these rooms to make sure when you draw the anchor chain in that it lays properly. If you've ever had a chain around your neck, you know sometimes you get a knot in it. Getting a knot into this chain would be a bad thing, especially when all of that weight's going. And then this right up above us here is a bridge for the executive officer. By 1956, the missiles and stuff, the weapons had become pretty sophisticated. So rather than okay, everybody had their own bunk, everybody had their own locker. When you join the Navy, they give you regular issue, which means they give you all the clothes that you're going to be needing to fit in this locker. Wow. There's a certain way that you fold it in order to get everything to fit in there. In fact, this week I meant to copy off some, the way everything is stacked in here, your shoes and your whites and your underwear and your hats and everything, there's a specific way to fit it in there. Now, they would hold that way somebody don't borrow your stuff. Also, the first thing they do in boot camp is they issue you a stencil with your name and serial number on it, and you put your name and your number on every piece of clothing you have. Otherwise, when you put it in the ditty bag, it goes to the laundry. They don't know who it belongs to, so you never see it again. However, you can go down to the laundry and you can buy replacements real cheap. Those guys who didn't bother to put them in. But anyway, there's this kind of stuff all over the ship. Now, to me, this is art. And I have taken pictures of a lot of the stuff. However, it's graffiti to other people. Like this. This was very important during the 60s. Let's don't erase that. However, don't come around now and put another one of these on here, because you're not entitled to do that. Your small machine guns that are on the airplanes.
They're that big?
Oh yeah. Okay, now these are the 5-inch. As soon as you get
go
take
ahead.
the picture.
There's a video.
But, it's a video. Anyway, these weigh 57 pounds.
Oh my God.
Okay. In the old days, for the old wooden ships, they used to have 3-pound cannons. A timer and a fuse that they put in. Up here, you don't put these down below. This thing weighs 57 pounds. Now there's the powder keg that you put in front of the gun. And then you lay one of those in, and then you put this in front of it. And you close the breach, and then when you shoot no, you have quite a few guys in here who are catching these things. So
okay,
this thing is running.
Like so
when you grab one of these, you go stack it.
Jim, how big is the crew?
I'm sorry?
How big is the gun crew for a 5-inch?
Okay, it takes 11 people outside. So let's try and around the clock we have people who make sure that these 8 tie-downs are secured. Because what would happen, this thing weighs about 41,000 tons. If it should break loose from the pier, as the tide comes in, it's going to suck it back out and take it up toward the Carquinez Bridge. By the way, during the Vietnam thing, they had a couple of nukes aboard this ship. So, only 27 people out of the 2,800 they have aboard that time knew.
Down here.
You're right in the middle of special weapons.
Oh.
And on the other side. You notice that they've even put this door, if you undog it, it will not open. you have to take this big handle here and raise it up. Because if this thing should explode in there, they don't want it just to fly off. So this would make part of the concussion, this door. It has to be lifted up before you can open it. So anytime that. Now, the guards are there because this is special weapons. There's a lot of lifts and stuff in there that go down, and they would not allow any enlisted men on each one of those. Now, over here on this end is the business end. So we have 4 tanks. The reason they're labeled like they are, it's easier for sailors to remember whiskey, vodka, rum, and gin, and beer.
Beer's the last thing.
Than numbers. Say, hey, the whiskey tank is out. Whoa. So what they have to do is what happens, these pump into these high pressure lines, 4 of them go into this tank. By the way, these are only half of the tank. The other half is hanging in the ceiling down on the platform. Means up on the flight deck, it takes 1.5 to 2.5 seconds for that airplane to move 200 feet or to go from 0 miles an hour to 120 to 135 miles an hour, depending on what model aircraft and what it has on it. Now, 1.5 million gallons of bunker fuel.
Wow.
So, all of these tanks had to be pretty well emptied, although I suspect that in the bottom of these tanks, after that many years, you got about this much sludge. Need 500 pounds of flour, plus all the ingredients, all right? Now, this is the bakery. This worked 24 hours a day. They baked approximately 1,600 loaves of bread a day in here, besides all the other stuff that they bake. Because this bakery not only served this ship, but all of our escorts. Provided they had something to trade, they got fresh bread. No, but what they would do is, you want them to be solid before you take them out, put them up there, and put them on the plane and launch them, because they were volatile, they did not want to be shaken. When you put them on that catapult, that's a pretty good size shake. So that's what the sidewinders.
Nitrogen bulb.
I want you.
And that was my W-2 form in 1956. That tells you how much money I had.
$47.
That is, see, this is what it looked like. This one was kind of cracked, so I glued it back.
Where'd they make it? Where'd they make
This
it?
came out of the Philippines and different areas. Okay.
So they
Now,
Really, it has been. The ship is almost as old as I am, but not quite. Hardly anything is as old as it did. This system develops in the speed and direction of the ship. There are 3 of these in the Combat Information Center. The interesting thing about this is that it has an old analog computer. And this is the way the old analog computers used to look, friend or foe. So if you're flying a Navy aircraft, you go out and perform your mission, coming back, you have to let the ship know that you're a friendly and not an enemy. Otherwise, they'll send somebody out to shoot you. And he could entertain other captains of other ships in the task force. Remember, the task forces toward the end of World War II had over 100 ships, whereas we started out with only 2 active carriers in the South Pacific in World War II at the time of Pearl Harbor. We had almost things going very well. He doesn't need to, because the officer of the deck is up there with the captain, and he's hollering commands through the ports there to tell the helmsman how to steer the ship. Like he'll say 10 degrees right, or several back from the old sailing days. I'm sure the cruisers don't have voice tubes anymore, do they?
No, sir.
Anyhow, that's how the ship is steered. Now, if an aircraft flew in here, or kamikaze, for instance, he would wipe out the bridge. The ship can still be steered because there are secondary controls, secondary comms. There's one up above, just above the rudder in the after end of the ship, and of course that guy can't see out there. He doesn't know where he's going either. All he has to do is respond to the orders from had a collision with another ship. And of course, when that horn was activated, all the other ships in the task force knew the Hornet was in trouble. Stay away from it. So the captain would know who was around him and what they needed to do. Remember, when the ship launched aircraft and recovered aircraft, they would have to cruise into the wind, because you may know that all aircraft take off into the wind and they land. Put a string in it and knot the string so it stays, and your buddy would go behind a tree 50 feet away, and you could talk to him, because when he talked into the can, the bottom tin of the can would vibrate, and that vibration was set through the string.
this up here.